I started dating Carlos when I was in ninth grade. Where I am from, in city, we marry young. I'm in America, so I've taken on American traditions. I did not want to marry Carlos, but my parents loved him, and his parents are wealthy, so I thought I could fall in love with him. All the pressure from my parents caused me to date him until 3 weeks ago. I met another guy, and we've been talking. It is not dating, and I'm not romantically into him. He's an older man from the church we go to, and he saw me crying one day after Mass. I told him everything about what is going on, about college being miserable, about Carlos, and about thinking I was pregnant. The man did not judge me. Instead, he introduced me to his daughter. I work full-time and have a good job. I have my own personal bank account, which I told my parents was for saving to move out with Carlos. Though I do help with rent, I've saved a lot. His daughter, Jane, is 22 and lives in a house he rents to her in the next town over. It is closer to my work. I'm miserable in college right now. Jane said the house was pretty much furnished already, and she needs a roommate right away. I went home, cleaned out my college fund, packed up my car, and left. Jane helped me. The college fund was mine, in my name, and my parents did not give me all the money. They helped me with maybe $2,000, and the rest was from family members to help with my education. My parents had access to it, so I took the money and put it in my other account. Then I broke up with Carlos. I told him I was pregnant and was going to end the pregnancy. He was furious and told me he would stop me, but he doesn't know where I live. So now my parents have called and said they are going to press charges on me, that if I drop out and end the pregnancy, I'm dead to them. I have worked out all the little details. I took my files, I had my address changed. I have my pets with me, and I didn't take anything other than what I purchased for myself. So my parents have no reason to come after me. I have the procedure scheduled for next week. I'm afraid this will mean my parents really don't talk to me. I want to be free of them, but it terrifies me. You have made a great break to a clean start. Some people are toxic and are only a detriment to your life. You have allies now, and are smart enough to get yourself out of this mess, and have sorted everything out. Look into the legalities to make sure that taking the money was okay. I'm assuming it was since it was in your name, but I'm not a lawyer. Cut contact and move on. I know college you said made you miserable, but maybe think it through a little more. It sounds like you're independent already, but if you have a college fund and the means to go, it is a great opportunity for the future, even if it isn't for everyone. There are no charges they can press here. You had full access to the money and have done nothing illegal here. This is a completely empty threat because they just want to keep you under their thumb. You need to do what makes you happy. Do not marry this man if you do not love him. You are an adult now, and you need to start living your own life. You should try not to burn bridges, but people that make these threats to family are likely not to be the best for you. Congratulations on getting out. Your parents have no grounds to press charges. What charges could they even use? Moving out without their permission? Breaking up with the guy they like? Terminating a pregnancy? Let them bluster and threaten. You were smart and you're free from them now. Do what you need to do and maintain your independence. Jane and her dad sound like great allies as you start a new chapter in your life. Stay strong. I'm newly pregnant with our first child. My husband's brother just recently proposed to his girlfriend, of 4 months, and they plan on getting married when I'm 38 weeks pregnant. They live about 7 hours away from us. I don't really like his fiancée, due to some very off-the-wall and inappropriate comments she made during my mother-in-law's funeral, but everyone else seems to like her, so I'm doing my best to get along with her. When she asked me to be part of her bridal party, I thought, cool, this is a chance for me to get to really know her, and maybe be friends outside the first time I met her, which was at the funeral. She hadn't set the date yet, but I told her I was pregnant and when I was due, and that while I don't want her to schedule their wedding around me, my husband and I also wouldn't be able to attend if it was closer to my due date. They set the date, and she asked about dresses for me, when I told her that while we are very happy for her, we won't be able to come. She asked why, and I repeated what I told her before she set the date, and that I couldn't travel far that late in pregnancy. She had a meltdown. She insisted that I could still come, since it was only a 7-hour drive, barring traffic, and that if I couldn't come, my husband needed to still come because it was his brother. I said this is our first child, and if I go into labor, I will not be doing it by myself, nor will my husband miss the birth of our child to attend anyone's wedding. She called me selfish for missing her wedding, and that if at least my husband didn't go, we wouldn't speak to them again. My husband is now anxious because he wants to be there for his brother, but knows if he leaves me and I go into labor, he could theoretically miss the birth of his first child. The added bit about making sure him and his brother don't have a relationship when they've always been close also adds fuel to the fire. She texted everyone in the family group chat that I was aggressive and controlling for not letting my husband attend their wedding without context, saying I did not like her. I hadn't planned on telling all of our extended family we were pregnant yet, since I'm still in the first trimester. My husband texted back saying I'm not forcing him to do anything, but we agreed not to tell anyone we were pregnant yet. So our phones have been going off for hours with texts about setting our pettiness aside to be happy for the couple. Even those who know I'm pregnant and would be close to my due date say I should at least let my husband go. My mom labored for only 3 hours with me and an hour with my sister, and she had us both at the 39-week mark. Her mother also had a short labor, so I feel very uncomfortable with the idea of leaving our city to travel so far away during the last weeks of my first pregnancy. Not the a-hole. Babies can come at any time during the last few weeks of pregnancy. Your husband's place is with you during that time. 7 hours away is far too far for him to be traveling when you could give birth any day. And honestly, whilst he was there, he could not enjoy the wedding, nor could he drink, because he would be crapping his pants in case you went into labor. It would be a lot less fun than they think. Absolutely not the a-hole. You are supposed to be within 1 hour of your hospital once you reach the end of pregnancy, or even some high-risk cases even earlier than that. There are way too many variables, and 38 weeks is not the time to be going 7 hours away. There's even a chance you'll already have delivered your baby, and there's 0 sense to bring a 1 to 2 week old 7 hours away for a wedding. Having a baby absolutely trumps attending a wedding. Why is she expecting you to prioritize her wedding over your family? You already established your boundary and said no. She needs to respect your wishes. Your husband should not plan to attend without you. Again, starting your family trumps a wedding every single time. He shouldn't be choosing to be away from that. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Firstly, huge congratulations, and I wish you a happy and healthy pregnancy and birth. Your husband wants to be with you for the birth of your child. You told her your due date, and told her prior to the fact that you would not attend if it was near. She can rearrange a wedding. Unfortunately, baby will come when baby wants to come. You can't schedule these things. Sounds like this is a divorce waiting to happen for brother-in-law, to be honest. Too quick a relationship, and fiancé sounds like a nightmare. Stick to your guns. You've made the right decision. Update. My husband responded to the family members who reached out to us individually and told them the situation, including the fact that sister-in-law was informed of our due date and that we wouldn't be able to attend if they chose a wedding date close to it. His brother finally called him back, and he spoke with him directly, and from what he understands, he was at work, so future sister-in-law was not around. My husband explained how it was 100% his decision to stay with me, and had a heart-to-heart talk, of which a lot was discussed. His brother was surprised about the ultimatum, apologized for his fiancé's behavior, explaining they apparently recently had a miscarriage, news to us, and she likely was taking out her feelings, including jealousy, on me. He also told my husband that he was going to talk to sister-in-law and have the date changed since they didn't sign a contract with any vendors yet. He said he really wants us there, since we are close, and he'll either move the wedding forward or push it back. So I guess we might be going to the wedding after all. Though I told my husband at this point, he can be a groomsman, but I definitely will not be part of the bridal party, because I didn't want her to take her feelings out on me throughout my pregnancy while she's wedding planning. Haha. 2 months ago, I told my oldest stepdaughter, 18, I needed her to request this weekend off because we were celebrating our Christmas and the boys' birthdays. I even texted their mother and made arrangements for my youngest stepdaughter, 14, and she acted like she was on board with it. We have this ongoing issue with my stepkids about them only coming over when we are doing something fun. Every time we try to get them and just spend time with them at the house, they make up every excuse in the book why they cannot come. I purposely did not tell them or my kids what the plans were this weekend. Stepdaughter 18 couldn't get off of work, so I told her it's cool. We will do something for her later on. No big deal, and I understand how it is working retail during the holidays. Today I texted their mother to confirm if stepdaughter 14 was coming over tomorrow, and she said stepdaughter 14 had a long weekend and was really emotional and did not want to go to our house without her older sister. Total BS. She doesn't even like her sister like that, and she's been to our house plenty of times without her sister. Just another excuse on why she cannot come. Mind you, it's my hubby's court-ordered weekend with her anyways. We don't make her come over, so we just get her whenever she wants to come over. So I texted their mom back and said, no big deal, we will do something else with them another time. So stepdaughter 18 texted me a little while ago, asking what we were doing. And I told her we were spending the weekend at Disney and another event. I told her so she wouldn't be surprised when photos were posted this weekend. Now, all of a sudden, she wants to call out of work, and my other stepdaughter 14 wants to come with her sister now. I told them, I'm sorry, I gave the boys' friends those tickets because y'all didn't want to come over. I really did. So now they are pissed off, and a part of me doesn't feel bad for stepdaughter 14. Stepdaughter 18 is understandable because she actually has a good excuse, but I do not want her calling out because she's on the verge of getting fired already for her attendance. Hubby wants to cave in and let her come, but I don't want to, because I'm over her only wanting to see us when we're spending money on her. I want this to be a lesson to stepdaughter 14, and he doesn't see it that way. I gave her an opportunity to come, and she didn't want to, so am I the a-hole? Edited to add, before anyone says I'm being unfair to my stepkids, I treat my bio kids the same way. My oldest had his fair share of missing out on events. He knows better now. When I say get in the car and let's go, don't question it. Just get in. Edited to add, it's not a game I'm playing. Over the years, I just got tired of feeling used. The only time they want to come over is when we're doing something, or they want something. That's why I stopped telling them what we were doing. My husband is cheap and doesn't care for fun things. I plan and pay for just about everything we do that's fun. We all have a good relationship, and they're growing older, and they'd rather be with friends, so we're trying to give them the space to do that. But before stepdaughter 18 got a job, we would try to plan things with them, my kids included, and it just became a, can we go here instead, and complaining about everything. So that's why now if I want to do something, I don't tell them plans. I just ask them if they are coming, and if they don't, then they stay home. All of the kids are in different age groups, so I try to plan things for each child and invite the others, but that's been extremely difficult because of the complaining. Not the a-hole. You asked them to make time to celebrate the holidays and your son's birthdays as a family. That wasn't important to them until they found out how you'd be celebrating. I'm glad your sons get to celebrate their special days with people who actually value their company. Not the a-hole. Simple thing is, the stepchildren don't want to spend time with their family unless they directly profit off of it. They had their chance to spend time with OP and family, who made it clear they all wanted to spend time with the two stepdaughters. They didn't want to, which makes it fair to pass that opportunity on to someone else that actually wants to spend time with them. In this case, son's friends. You can't reject the cake and eat it too. You and your husband, you're the a-holes. First, he should be insisting on his court-ordered time. Next, if you want people to take time off work and make time a priority, tell them what the plan is. You're playing a stupid pick-me game. If someone said, be sure to take time off for C days, I would be asking for what? I'm not going to call out to do something I don't want to do. You seem really manipulative. It's like you're trying to just prove a point, both with your steps and your bios. It's nuts, and totally a-hole. Quick backstory. My wife and I have two good friends who are married. We're close to both of them. We'll call them Steve and Cindy. A couple years ago, they were over for dinner, and Steve and I started BSing. He had mentioned that his S life was all but dead. Absolutely nothing going on. He complained about it, but Cindy didn't really seem to care. He finally convinced her to see an S therapist, and Cindy admitted during one of their sessions that she no longer desires S and doesn't feel the need to satisfy him. Nothing really changed after that, and Steve told me he was exhausted from trying to get his wife to be intimate again. He really did love her, so divorce over S wasn't really an option. He wanted it to work, so he stopped pursuing her sexually, knowing that's what she wanted. Anyways, fast forward a couple years, and Steve started going to those Asian massage parlors where you can pay for services. Cindy found out, came over one night crying like crazy. She was so upset, hurt, and didn't want to accept that he would do something like this behind her back. I told her that Steve had talked to me about what was going on, and that she demanded I tell her what I knew. I told her that Steve complained to me about their lack of S a while back, and that he was still in love, so he was going to try and make it work. But it's hard when you're married to someone who doesn't care about your physical needs. So what did she expect? She got pissed, yelled at me, and left. My wife kind of looked at me with a glare. However, keep in mind that we are all really good friends, so being blunt and honest about anything and everything is never an issue with us. Am I the a-hole for telling her that she was partially to blame? Was I out of line? We'll be downvoted to hell, but not the a-hole. Cheating is one of those things that is so awful that it automatically becomes black and white, and there is absolutely no room for nuance and complexity. Unfortunately, real life is rarely ever so neat and tidy, and tends to be messy. Cindy was deliberately and dismissively damaging their relationship by telling Steve that his needs don't matter at all. That doesn't negate the fact that Steve is still the major a-hole, but Cindy did play a role in the situation. You're the a-hole. So divorce over S wasn't an option, but stepping out on a marriage over S was totally on the table. And in the end, they're probably going to get divorced over S anyway because he cheated. Do I blame Steve for not wanting to be in an S-less marriage? No, but he chose to be in one, so he needs to own that choice instead of stepping out on his partner. His wife was very clear about not wanting S anymore, and at that time, Steve had choices. He could choose to remain in an S-less marriage, discuss his needs with his wife, and see if there is a way for him to have his physical needs met and remain in the marriage, or leave the marriage and find one that fulfilled his physical needs. And at any time as Steve regretted his choice, he still had the options of discussing his physical needs with his wife and trying to come to an agreement within the marriage about how those should be addressed, or ending the marriage so he could find a physically fulfilling relationship. Stop acting like Steve's only option was to cheat. It never was. He chose to remain in an S-less marriage, knowing what it was. And then he chose to cheat. Everyone sucks here. Well, what did she expect? Him to stay better for years and be miserable? She refused to work on it and see her husband has needs. He refused to keep talking about it. This marriage is headed for destruction.